Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I am Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup, I love all things skincare, and I especially love finding high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. Okay, so as you saw from the title of today's video, today I will be trying a bunch of Pat McGrath Complexion products. All of the products that I'm going to feature here I hauled in my previous Pat McGrath haul, so I got them all for 30% off during her spring sale, so really great discount, and I'm super excited to try them all. Now if you watch any of my previous videos, whether it be on YouTube or on Instagram, you would know that Pat McGrath is one of my favorite brands from the perspective of eyeshadow. I love her eyeshadow formula. I think she has the best eyeshadow formula, and I've always wanted to try her complexion products, but I was a little bit hesitant because I don't know how to shade match myself. So I took the leap and I decided to pick up a couple of her products during her spring sale to try out. Now, hopefully these are the right matches. If not, thank God there's a return policy. But we are going to get into it today. So what I have to test out for you guys is her primer and her foundation, 2 different shades of her concealer, and 2 different shades of the under eye blurring powder. So if you were curious about the Pat McGrath formula and interested in seeing how it performs on my skin or on my skin type and skin tone, just keep watching. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna go in with the Sublime Perfection Primer. Now, if you saw me unbox this in the original video, you will know that the packaging for this is so cheap. Like, the sticker keeps coming off. Like, why? Stick my sticker back again. I just pumped a little bit of that on the back of my hand. Oh, this feels nice. Oh, it has a really nice smell to it. It feels like a lotion. More like a moisturizer than a primer, but I like it. I'm not mad at this. I guess I can see a little bit of blurring, but it definitely felt more hydrating than anything else. So if you like more mattifying primers, I don't know how you would feel about this. It's not tacky, but it definitely dries down. I like it. I really like the smell of this. Huh. I was not expecting this. So first impressions, I like the feel of it. I don't know how it will perform with the foundation or with my other foundations, but it does feel nice when being applied. So the next thing I'm gonna go in with is the Sublime Perfection Foundation. And I picked this up in the shade Medium Deep 26. So just looking at the bottle, it looks like it'll be a decent shade match, but oh Lord, only time will tell. So instead of pumping it directly onto my face, I'm gonna pump it into my AOA, I don't even know what this is called. Oh, it's their steel mixing palette. So I'm gonna pump it onto that first and then use my sponge to apply it to my face. Ooh, that is liquidy. Okay. So y'all can see that that is a very runny consistency. Okay. And then from that same AOA brand, I'm going to use their Purple sponge to take a little bit of that and apply it to my face. It does look a little bit deep, but wow, okay, this just soaked right up into the sponge. Hopefully this is a good shade match. Let me scooch it so y'all can see. Oh, okay. Wow. So I applied a little bit onto this side of my face. This is a very skin-like foundation, which y'all know I like. And the shade is looking really good, really good. So you can see this side has foundation on it, this side has nothing. Wow, this is just looking like my skin. So I picked up the rest that I had on my little tablet, and I'm gonna go back in on this side now. Now, because this was such a watery foundation, I will say that I feel like my sponge is soaking up a lot of the product. So maybe this works best with a brush. Maybe. I just prefer to apply my foundation with a sponge because I think you get a more seamless application that way. But I am liking this. I should have taken a picture before and after, Lord Father. It's okay. It is a-okay. So I have products on both sides of my face, none on my forehead just yet. And since I think this is actually a really nice shade match for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and pump it directly onto my face instead of onto the mixing palette now. Yo, this is so watery. I don't know how I feel about the scent of the foundation. It's not as nice as the primer. But it's very subtle. It's nothing too strong. I just don't like it. This has to be my most liquidy foundation. Even comparing it to the Rare Beauty foundation, I think the Rare Beauty is still less watery than this one. And that one is pretty runny. Okay. I'm just gonna finish blending this foundation out on my skin, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts / first impressions of how this feels and how I think it applied. Okay, so this is about 2 layers of the foundation blended into my skin. So let me just read you all what it claims on the box and then give you all my opinion on the claims versus how I feel like it performed just going onto the skin. So the box says that this is buildable, perfecting coverage with a weightless texture, sublime satin finish, runway tested and mother approved. Universal formula for all skin types, oil-free, paraben-free, and fragrance-free. Okay, so on the first claim, which is buildable, perfecting coverage, I will say that I feel like this is light to medium coverage. I don't know if you could build this to full coverage. I don't like full coverage, so I'm not going to try it. But I think it's a solid medium coverage formula. Now, I do have a couple of acne scars. I have some active breakouts right now. And I think that I did a really good job at covering them up without concealer. Second claim, weightless texture. This literally feels like I have nothing on my face. I am amazed. I think the only other foundation that I feel sits so lightly on my skin is the Rare Beauty foundation, which is also that very similar kind of liquidy, serum-y type of foundation. As you guys saw when I applied it, both on the mixing plate and onto my face, it's a watery foundation. So the minute that it hit my skin, it was just running down. And right now, even with 2 layers on, it feels like I have nothing on my skin, which, thank you, Jesus. Third claim, sublime satin finish. I think this does give a really nice satin finish. Right now, like looking at my face, it feels and looks natural. It doesn't have a super matte finish. It doesn't feel dewy. It's not like wet to the touch. You can see that it dried down, but it still looks like my skin. It's giving me that your skin but better vibes. So I would 100% say yes to that satin finish claim. Runway tested. I haven't been hitting any runways, so who knows. Anyway, so like, you know, it says that it's a universal formula for all skin types. I have a pretty oily T-zone, so we will see how this holds up in my T-zone and whether or not it starts to break down throughout the day. But so far, just on first impressions of how this applied, how this blended out, I really like this. And I do think that the shade Medium Deep 26 is a good match for my skin. Especially now that we're going into the summer months. I think this would work perfectly. In the winter, it might be a tinge too dark for me, but we're about to hit summer, so. Okay, Mama Pat, I see you with your little $68 foundation. Not expensive, but whatevs. Okay, so the next thing that I want to go into to test out for you all is the concealer. So I picked up 2 shades of the concealer, MD23 and MD21. Now I picked up MD23 thinking that this would be really close to my skin tone, and then when I saw it, I did think it was super close to my skin tone, so I got MD21 because I felt like it would be a better highlighting shade. But before we dive into the lighter shade, I do want to try MD23 first and see how that blends out. If I think that it needs a little bit more brightening, then I'll go in with MD21. So this is what the concealer looks like. Like I said, this is the shade MD23. On the box, it claims that it's weightless, full coverage, high performance, runway tested, and mother approved. What I think is interesting about this concealer is that it claims to be full coverage when the foundation is very clearly light medium coverage. So I'm interested in seeing how these two pair well together. I'm not a full coverage girl, so I don't know how I'll feel about this, but I know some people think this is their favorite concealer of all time. So let's just dive in and see. Okay, so you guys can see the color MD23 on my eyes. You can see that it's not a super sharp contrast from the rest of my face, which is what I like. I don't like that very harsh under eye highlight. So let's blend this out and see what it looks like. Oh wow, this is full coverage. Okay, so this is MD23 blended into this side of my face. This side I'm wearing absolutely nothing. I will say I really like how this blended out. It blended out so easily, no issues. It's not super brightening. I can already tell that it is still pretty close to my skin tone, but I like it. I am not mad at it. Can you guys tell? Can you guys see the difference between this side that has the concealer and this side that doesn't? All right, let me add some to this side and blend it out and even out the eyes. And then maybe I'll add a hint of MD21 to see what that looks like. Okay, and this is the concealer blended out onto both sides. So just to show you guys, this is MD21 and this is MD23. So they're not drastically different, but you do see that MD23 is slightly deeper than MD21. And I'm gonna swatch both of these so you guys can see it a little bit better. So here both of the concealers swatched. Here we have MD23 and here we have MD21. So you can see the difference in depth. So MD23 is definitely deeper than MD21, and MD21 looks a little bit more golden while MD23 looks a little bit more red neutral. So I'm gonna add a little, like the tiniest bit of MD21 to see. Actually, MD21 is beginning to look more neutral the more I look at it, but I'm gonna add a little bit of MD21 to see if that makes any real difference. And it doesn't say anything about this being buildable, but let's see if this gets cakey if I add a little bit of MD21. Oh yeah, this is definitely brightening things up. Wow, and it doesn't look cakey at all. This is blending out like a dream. Is this my new favorite concealer? Okay, so this is the face with the concealer blended out. So we have both MD23 and MD21 under both eyes. You'll see that it's really, really nice and bright. I think both shades actually do work well. You can see they've dried down a little bit. So there's not a huge difference between them. One is just slightly lighter than the other. So I think I could use both shades. I could definitely use MD23 for when I want a more natural sort of concealer under the eyes, and go in with MD21 if I want to brighten things up and have it a little bit more glam, right? But overall, I do like both shades, and I do love how this blends out. It was so easy to blend this out. It definitely is full coverage. I will give it that. It doesn't feel heavy, so I will also give it that weightless claim. And it doesn't feel cakey. So even though I have two different concealers on, it doesn't feel like I have a ton of product sitting on my under eyes. So far, so far so good. Yeah, all of the products that I've tried so far, I am really enjoying. I mean, I should, considering the prices of these damn products, but yes. And I'm not really noticing any creasing just yet. And the last product I have to test for you guys is the under eye blurring powder, which I have in 2 different shades, deep and yellow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put deep under one eye and yellow under the other and see if there's any real difference, because from looking at the powders, I don't feel like the shades are drastically different. You can see a difference, but I think that it's so slight that I don't know if I would actually see a difference with it on the eye versus just watching it in the pan. So we're gonna put that to the test and see if we actually do see a difference. So just for you guys to see, this is the shade deep, this is the shade yellow. You can definitely tell that they're different, but are they different enough is the question. All right, so I'm gonna go in with 2 different brushes. And look at this itty bitty baby mirror. What am I supposed to see out of this mirror? All right, so I'm gonna go in with deep on my right eye. I don't know if y'all can see the difference, but here I've set the under eye with the shade deep, and you can definitely see it does have that blurring effect. At least I hope y'all can see. I can see it, but I hope y'all can see that it definitely has that blurring effect. Huh. Okay. This little mirror is a waste of time though. All right, I see it. I see the vision. And next I'm gonna go in with yellow under the other eye. So I can definitely say that the yellow powder had a lot more kick up when I dipped my brush into it than the deep shade. So that's just something to be mindful of. I don't think it was too much kick up. It was just more than I got with the deep shade, because I don't think I got any when I went in with my brush into the deep shade. Okay, so this is the yellow powder applied under this eye. I can definitely say that I do see it adding some brightness. So it's definitely brighter under this eye than it is this eye. Would I say that it's drastically different? No, you would have to be all up in my face to really notice the difference, unless y'all can see the difference. So let me know in the comments down below if y'all can see the difference in the yellow powder versus the deep powder. Now, initial thoughts, I think the powder is beautiful and stunning and does a really nice job at sort of setting in the under eye concealer and having that blurring effect. I wasn't sure if it was going to do that, but it does have that blurring effect. So yes, that claim I 100% agree with. The difference in shade, I don't think is enough. I really don't think it's enough. I think that this definitely looks, you know, just sort of natural, my skin, everything. This one looks a little bit brighter, but it's not substantially different. So again, here we have yellow for this eye and deep under this eye. Do you all see a difference? Okay, so those are all of the complexion products that I had to test for you guys in today's video. So let's do a quick recap of each of them and how I felt about them. First, the Sublime Perfection Primer. Again, the packaging in this is horrendous, but the actual product inside is great. I think that this definitely feels more moisturizing than anything else, but I did see a little bit of blurring of my skin when I apply this. It does have a really nice scent. I will say that it's very subtle. If you don't like fragrances, this might be something that you want to think about, but I think that it's so subtle that it's actually like very nice. And it's not irritating. Like, I didn't feel irritated by it, and even now I can't smell it anymore. So I think it was there at initial application, and now after it's been a little while I can't smell it. Next, the actual foundation. The formula of this is splendid. This is beautiful. If you don't like full coverage makeup, if you like light to medium coverage, that looks very natural, that looks very skin-like, you will absolutely love this. And I think that this is perfect now going into the summer months where you don't want to have too much product on your face, because then you start to get oily and you're looking like a hot mess. I think this is the type of product that if you don't want very heavy full coverage makeup, full coverage glam, you would 100% love this. This might be my new favorite foundation. I might need to get a one shade lighter for some for winter time. but I am really loving this. Now the true test is watching how this performs throughout the day. It does say that it is a satin formula, so it's not going to dry completely matte. It's going to look more skin-like and natural. So that's just something to be mindful of if you do have really oily skin. Next, the concealer. I could understand why people rave about this. This is a beautiful concealer. It is definitely full coverage though. I don't mind that though, because even though it is full coverage, it does feel pretty weightless and it does blend out really easily and it doesn't look cakey, which is the main point. Because I was very confused as to how a full coverage concealer would perform with a light to medium coverage foundation without looking like a hot mess or a hot separation between the two, but it doesn't look like that. It blends out really nice. So this, I think, is something that I will actually get a ton of use out of and will definitely add into my routine and repurchase once this finishes, because I think that it performs really nicely. And lastly, the under eye blurring powders. I don't know, like, I didn't think that this was gonna do that much. I honestly didn't think that this was gonna blur to the extent that it does. And I could really see the difference in this powder. Now, when it comes to the shade difference, I am struggling to see that a little bit. Now, I can tell that one is yellow and I can tell that one is deep, but I think that once I put it onto the face, it wasn't drastically different, to be quite honest. So do I think that you need both shades? Honestly, probably not. But it's nice to have, especially if you want like a slightly more brighter under eye. But I do think that the blurring effect that it claims is actually really true. Whew. All right, so that's it from me, guys. Those are my very first impressions of the Pat McGrath Complexion products that I picked up during her spring sale. I'm really excited to test these out more, to wear them more, to mix them into my other products within my routine, to wear them out in different conditions, and really like put these products to the test. Because on first impressions, I think they all performed well. I would definitely, on first impressions, recommend every single one of them. But the true test is seeing how I feel about these after a couple of weeks, after a couple of months. So I will definitely keep you guys posted. So that's it from me, guys. If you liked this video, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you guys leave in the comments down below what you thought about the products, and if there's any ones that are your favorites or least favorites. I definitely want to know what works for you guys and what you're interested in knowing more about or seeing a follow-up video on. So I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.